Hey everybody, it's been a hot second since I did a battle report, so I figured me and the old Dice Goblin Gabby will do one today. So we've decided on this setup right here, and we're going to roll 4 random missions, but we know the storyline behind these just by looking at these models. Number 1, we've got obviously our Predator Warband in the background that has been stalking my newly painted theater troupe. They're a traveling theater troupe that go from town to town in the Brutal. So you've got the leader right here, who is a zealot, and he's got a little coin box in his hand, and he collects all the collections. You've got the announcer, which is a brute. He uses his announcing cone to beat people with. We have a mind controller here. This guy can do such fantastic performances that he can sway minds. And we also have this little guy, the jester right here, is actually a master, which is a fast, and he's very defensive. He does a lot of cool stuff. He will hit you with his stick with a balloon on it, or hit you with his fake horse if we get in melee. And finally, we have a basic ranged. I call him Tomato Jester. He has a satchel full of tomatoes, and you can see a tomato in his hand. He throws tomatoes at people, and he took the headshot special ability where he can blind people if he critically hits them, which I think is hilarious. Like smash tomatoes on them. Then we've got the Predators over here. We've got the leader right here, and he is a shredder. Then we have a fighter because he's got the pole arm, so he'd fight first. Then we have the ordnance guy right here. We've got the lady Predator that is an assassin. And finally, a basic melee Predator still trying to earn his stripes. So that is the initial setup. Okay, it's time to deploy. We've rolled on the random mission generator in the newest supplement as of the recording time of this. That's the narrative mission modules. At the back of that, it's got random missions for deployment, objectives, and a twist for each one. So this one is all very fitting. This is why we had the idea for this. Our guys are caught in the middle of the night. They're sleeping in this ruins, and they've been running from the Predators for a while now who are tracking them. They thought they were safe, but they weren't. So their deployment is 10 inches from the 12 inches from the center of the board, and they all got right there. And then the Predators are 10 inches from their deployment zone, which gives them little teeny corners in each way. Right here, that's like 4 inches here. And then he's all the way in the corner over here, 4 inches. And then over here is the other two guys. So they only had little 4-inch squares in the corners that was not within 10 inches of the center deployment. So we are only using kill points for this mission. That's what we rolled. And the leaders are worth 3 victory points. Everyone else is worth 1 victory point. And if we had any minions, it would be worth half point each. So let's get going. So this is the end of turn 1. And Gabby decided to be the actors. And she wanted me to be the Predators, so that's what we did. And she decided, and we're practicing strategy here. So what we discussed is, when you're surrounded like this, it's probably best to turn around and go in a specific direction in order to focus your fire on one separated section of the enemy, rather than trying to let them all attack you from every side. So you see that's what she's done exactly here. She's moved everybody from the center of the castle towards the assassin and the basic melee, and away from the ordnance and the other people that were in the far corner. So the most interesting stuff happened here. The ordnance completely whiffed. They saved everything. The guys way over there were not able to do anything. The leader shot. They used their feet for plus 6 inches, and nothing really came of that. This guy here encouraged the shooter, so he's got a time slip. The assassin came up and charged and really messed up the announcer here. They actually did 2 damage each to each other in close combat, and she gave him a bleeding. So this guy, his name is Coinbox, the leader. He moved up from around there, staunched the bleeding, and then free action charged into her. She did 2 agonizing on him, and he lost a hit point. As you can see, he's down to 2. But he was able to kill the assassin. So Gabby now has 1 point to my nothing, and we'll start turn 2. This is the bottom of turn 2, and quite a lot of things have happened. So you see Gabby's continuing to move her people farther in this corner, away from the fighter on your right, and the leader with Shredder behind him, and of course, away from the ordnance. So the ordnance came up here and was able to shoot at the guy that was in here, and dealt damage to the jester. The jester took a wound over here. And obviously, when he was over here. And did a damage to this guy as well, right here. So, the tomato guy, throwing the tomatoes, was able to do 2 wounds unsaved on this predator, and then she actually took the risk, this is her leader here, the risk of losing 3 victory points to gain 1, but it actually paid off. She took 1 hit point, and she killed the other predator. So now she is winning 2-1, but they are steadily closing in. Here they come. Alright, this is the end of turn 3, and the score is now 2-2. And the reason for that is that the predators keep closing in on us. Gabby did the right move in hiding her leader, because he's going to give up 3 victory points this game if he dies. So she hid her leader over here, and the Jester's only at 2 hit points. He's hiding. And we had the tomato thrower guy here, and him. Well, he cursed. He's such a good actor that he can hurt people's feelings, and he can convince them to do things they otherwise wouldn't. So he's a mind controller. He cursed the leader's willpower down to a 4 and tried to mind control him into charging that fighter. And unfortunately, she failed the mind control. This guy came up here and shot at her zealot, and he had to use both of his time slips to save it so he would not die. Then my ordnance runs from over here all the way over to here, and he could see these two. The tomato thrower was up here, and him. Got 2 hits on the back of him. He was able to save one of them and time slipped another. And then, unfortunately, the tomato guy took the brunt of the force and died. So that gave me a second point. It is now 2-2, and we're on our last turn. And this is the end of turn 4. The final score is 2-2. Gabby did a good job of running and hiding and using command tokens and all of that. She hid all of her people. You see they're severely wounded. 1 hit point, 1 hit point, 2 hit points. And I have 3 people left. She was able to hide so that the leader could not see them and the ordnance could not see them. And I mean just barely can they not see. It's so darn close, but you really can't see. What she was able to do is run the controller over here and mind control the fighter, and she cursed him, she hurt his feelings, insulted him, and he charged the leader and did 2 hit points on him, almost killed the leader, which would have got her in the lead 5-2. But he wasn't able to do that 3rd wound. So, the game ends 2-2, and obviously, narratively, these guys are booking it out of town. They're running as far as they possibly can away from these predators. And to be honest, this felt like a very honest, realistic approach, because the predators had to be in the corners, and, you know, predators like hunt in packs, so they had to be in the different corners. And Gabby did the right choice in going in just one direction and trying to focus all of her army's forces against a smaller force of the enemy. Now, the ordnance was hunting them the whole way around. He ran around that side of the building, and then ran back over here, and then ran up here. I mean, the ordnance was doing pretty good this game. Unfortunately, the fighter tried to charge Gabby's controller here. Was the first thing that I did this turn, and she used her feet to move out of the way. She's doing gadgets. So when I finish my charge roll, but before I make my charge move, she can make 1 free action move up to her movement. And she moved 6 inches, and that failed my charge. So that was a key moment, because I probably would have killed the controller. But this was a ton of fun. Gabby, did you have any fun? Mm-hmm. And we'll be making more of these.